Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today I am going to be doing the first part in a texture stamp review series. So today I'll first be doing the first part and I will be reviewing polymer clay textures, as everybody can make those, so long as you have polymer clay and a few basic household tools. So here is one of my favourite ones. This is my burnt wood texture stamp. And so you can see that it looks really nice once you've put it into the clay. So I'm going to go over the pros and cons of the polymer clay stamps. So we'll start with the pros. And the first one is that polymer clay stamps create the most organic textures you can get because they are handmade, and so you'll be making them, and so it gives a much more uneven look to it, whereas if it was made by a machine it would look a bit more geometric. So you can see it, this one has a lot of texture to it. I hope you can see it. There's a whole bunch of scratches. Let me see if I can direct that properly for you, but there we are. I hope you can see it. There's a bunch of textures on the surface, and that the height of each of the wood segments is a little bit different, and the same with the fissures in between the wood segments. So it's all a little bit all over the place, which is great for an organic texture. And here's the texture that goes with it. I highlighted this with Gilder's paste just to let you see the texture a little bit more clearly. You don't even have to create something revolved around something. So that one was me trying to imitate wood. You can just create random pictures as well. So here is the polymer clay stamp, and here's what you get from it. So you can see that it's really random. It's got this really nice spider web effect, or maybe even straw possibly. So you can see that it creates a really cool random texture. And you can create images with it as well, so it's a very versatile way of creating stamps. So here is an icicle sheet that I have, and so you can see that this is the mixed media and everything, and you can see all the detail, but you can see that it gives a really nice crisp image, just like you would in any of the rubber or photopolymer stamps. So it creates really nice images as well. And what I've shown you so far are the mixed media. I found that these work best with mixed media, but you can also do them with other techniques such as mica shifts. And here's a mica shift that I did with a little flower. You can see that it gives a really nice high contrast in mica shift, so it's not dull and the image is quite crisp and clear. You do need a fairly deep stamp for this, so I'll just bring over one that won't work for this. So with polymer clay stamps you can vary your depth. So here's one that's quite shallow that I made. It's a lightning bolt, and you can see that it's a great texture, but it's a little bit shallow for a mica shift or a makume gane. So one that would be good for makume gane is this stamp over here. This was made with little squiggles and wiggles and things like that, and you can see that the makume ganes come out really well, because you can embellish your makume gane with stripes. You don't just have to put in little blocks of clay, you can add in dots and streaks and all sorts of things, and that comes out in the makume gane. So those are the good things to it. You can create some really natural looking textures like this one. So you can see that this is my faux rust, and I've got some nice sandpapery texture in the background to make it look like stone. Now I will go into the bad sides now, and the one bad side is you're going to struggle with geometric patterns. This is about as geometric as I can get it. So you can see that it's fairly geometric, but you can see there's a little bit of distortion and things like that. And because of the way the polymer clay is, you're going to be pressing these textures into it when it is raw, which means that your clay can distort the texture for you, which is great for the natural textures, but for geometric textures like this one, it doesn't work as well. So the rubber stamps and the photopolymer ones are better for that sort of thing. Another downside is the fact that you will not be getting any flexibility out of these stamps. So you can see that it's slightly flexible because it is plastic, but you're not going to be able to peel it away from your clay like you would be able to with the photo-polymer stamps or the rubber ones. So you can't do techniques such as satin slices. But that's basically the only technique that you can't do. That's basically all of the downsides actually. It's pretty good. So there's not many. There's mostly just ups, and they're really easy to make. So they're really good. So here's some more that I made. And these are nice finished beads, so you can get a nice shiny finish even if you aren't sanding your texture. I'll be showing you how to use it because it's really easy. You'll just lubricate it with a bit of water or cornstarch, because some clay brands don't like water. So Fimo and Cernit don't really agree with water, so you might want to use cornstarch. But I find that water works fine with Primo, which is what I'm using. And then you'll just spread the top just like you would any other stamp, and then you'll work from one end to the other. And now another thing with this clay stamps, the fact that it is firm can be a good thing, because it means that when it comes to ghosting, it's a lot harder to get a ghost image, whereas if you were using something like silicone, which is quite soft, it will move all over the place and flex and things like that, and so getting ghost images is fairly common with those. But with these ones you get almost a perfect texture every single time, unless you're a little bit aggressive when you're rolling it out. So here's the pebble one, and so if I just chop away these edges for you. So this is one that you could make a mica shift from. It's deep enough for that. So you can see it, this is basically a duplicate of this one. So the reverse thing is really good because I like to use that with lots of my beads. So here's the front, here's the back. And so if I bring over those pebble ones again, this is what this texture gives, and this is what this texture gives. So you can see it's a completely different texture depending on which way it's imprinting, but it retains the texture very well. So you can see that you've got all of the natural mossy bits in the stone, so the clay gives a really nice organic texture. And it can also be sanded and buffed, and you will, depending on how deep those scratches are, I like to make them fairly deep, so you will be able to retain them to a certain degree. So this one, it doesn't have as many scratches as this one over here, but it does have a few scratches in it still, so it still has that lovely organic burnt wood look. So that's what I really like about the clay textures. And there's lots of textures that you can make. You just need a little bit of imagination, and you can play around with the clay and you can make endless sorts of textures. So I have got a few tutorials on how to make clay textures. I've got one for a wood, for a dead tree one like this, and I'll be showing that one so that we can make these beads over here. So look out for that one will be up very soon. And I have done a previous one on how to use up your baked clay, and just pressing that into the texture works really well. So I do hope that that tutorial was helpful to you, and that you will now go and try to make your own texture stamps. And if you don't feel like making your own texture stamps, because they can be quite time consuming, each stamp takes about an hour to make, maybe even more. So if you don't feel like spending that amount of time, I do have all of these textures that I have shown on my Etsy shop, Jessama Design, and I will provide a link to that in the links below so that you can go and have a look if you want. And I'll always be adding lots more textures, so I've just shown a few in this video. There'll be lots more in my Etsy shop in the months to come. So be sure to check that out, as that will always be very helpful to me. And as always, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.